You're listening to the Texas Strangers. Here are your hosts, David Carson and Ryan Gannell.
Welcome back to the Texas Strangers. This week, Outside the Lines turned its guns on the 254 area code down there in Waco, Texas. Baylor country.
There has been a surprising amount of information, and just the number of sexual assault cases, and just the legal trouble that the Bears are going through right now is staggering.
Exactly. Now let's back this up about the legal trouble they have.
Okay.
Their president. Do you know who their president is?
Nope.
Okay, his name is Ken Starr. Ken Starr. Does that name ring a bell? Probably not for you.
It does ring a bell, but not one that I could define.
Okay, this is the guy that was leading the charge to impeach President Clinton with the Monica Lewinsky thing.
Okay.
So all the sexual harassment and everything.
Relations with that woman.
With that one.
But I wanted to.
Now, another time, another day, I do have a story about that because I was very, very close to that story. But that is for a whole different topic. But I can't wait to tell that story. But anyway, Ken Starr, he was the lead attorney trying to get President Clinton
impeached.
I believe they did technically impeach, but
he was not removed from office. The impeachment is just the beginning of the process.
So you have this guy that's like morally bound to make sure that our president's doing the right thing, but now that he is a president of a university, not so much.
There's a bit of irony there, you know. But he'll do whatever it takes. Now that he's the president, right?
Right.
You know, now that the shoe's on the other foot.
Now that the income's coming into Baylor, because for a long time there was no money coming into Baylor.
Right, but now that he's in charge and he'll do whatever it takes for him and his university to stay there, it doesn't seem so simple for Mr. Starr.
Now, you know, I was in Waco. I lived in Waco. I'll tell you, I even lived on Sanger Avenue. If anybody that happens to be listening to this in Waco, I lived a couple houses off Sanger and New Road, the most dangerous intersection of all Waco. I think I saw 3 cars flip over in that intersection, but that's neither here or there. But I was there with the Floyd Casey Stadium. I mean, it's a horrible stadium. Have you ever been there?
I've driven past both Baylor stadiums. I have never been in them. I've been on Baylor's campus one time. In high school, I dated a girl who was going to Baylor.
Okay.
So that's the only one time. I think actually I've been there one other time for a club volleyball tournament.
Okay. Now, the Baylor campus I'll give you away. It's a nice campus. It's a beautiful,
nice campus.
Beautiful campus.
Especially because it's surrounded by awful.
Well, there's 2 parts of Waco. There's Waco and there's Baylor. So a lot of the Baylor kids like, oh, I love Waco. No, you don't. You love Baylor. Because once you go across the street from Baylor, you are in a project right across the street. So to make it sound like Waco is a beautiful place to be, I'll go ahead and kill that myth right now. So what we're getting at, too, is in 2012, Kenneth Dixon, he was accused of sexual assault. Now, after the report was done, the girl came out and said, no, it really didn't happen. I was just trying to get a little publicity. Nothing really happened. But yet, the Waco Police Department, this is still an active case going on right now.
Okay.
So, Waco PD, why are you not doing anything about this? If the case is closed, close the case. But it's still an ongoing investigation. Now, in 2014, Devin Chafin was accused not once, but twice for assaulting his girlfriend. 2 times.
What else is? Yeah, and I do know there was one player. I don't remember who it was. He was a defensive tackle that transferred from Boise State.
Right. He is not in the paperwork that I have here in front of me, but go ahead and hold on. Yeah, Tyler Stevenson, 2012. He was accused of assaulting his girlfriend. Now, while you're looking that up, also, Baylor is not strange to having a corrupt program going on. Their basketball program, before their new head coach came in and cleaned it up, that was a very scandalous program where they were hiding a lot of stuff going on. Who was the guy that you were going to bring up?
His name is Sam Ukuachu.
Ukuachu. Yeah.
And he was found guilty of sexual assault, I think. Yeah, a Waco jury found Baylor football player Sam Ukuachu guilty of sexual assault. The big scandal of that investigation is that the coaching staff had heard about sexual assault problems with this particular player from the Boise State coaching staff.
Right.
And so him and Bryles played that. Well, he didn't tell me. Well, no, actually, I did tell him game in the media. So now what is this, 5-6 cases since Bryles has taken over?
Exactly.
It's
five.
It's out of hand.
Well, as we were prepping for the show, winning comes at a price. And the price is sometimes you have to get some of these players in order to be successful on the field. Now, do you really have to have these players? I don't believe so.
Here's the thing. At no point should a woman's or anybody else's, any student or teacher or anyone's safety and well-being and health should be threatened by somebody's on-the-field talent.
Right.
It's an invasion of their personal rights as an American, as a person, as a human being. The fact that the Waco PD and the coaching staff and these people who are supposed to be protectors and people of authority, that they can look the other way because, well, he plays for Baylor. And here's what you have to ask yourself, Dave. Would this happen if they weren't successful? Would Waco PD continue to look the other way because they're on the football team if they were still the 4-9 Baylor Bears?
Do you think Waco PD is actually turning the other cheek?
I do know in the recent story that was released, there was an instance where the report was kept only on paper, and the arresting officer specifically asked it not to be put onto electronic file so that anyone looking for it could not find it. So, yes, I do think that, and I do know in Tallahassee with Florida State and Jameis Winston and all that stuff, there's so many instances of these cops who work for this town either getting benefits or, because they protect
looking the other way
into the tunnel, they're willing to look the other way. And for what? I mean, what do these college athletes bring? They
don't bring anything, to be honest with you.
So valuable.
Nothing of
that
value.
Someone's safety should be put in jeopardy.
It's entertaining, that's it. But I want to watch. I want someone to entertain me that's going to do the right thing on and off the field.
So, if this was the cost of success for your University of Texas Longhorns,
okay, yes. University of Texas is guilty of this big time.
Especially pre-Strong. So Strong.
Well, Charlie Strong, he cleaned it up. Everyone that was a bad apple is no longer part of that program.
Supposedly.
Well, you're always going to bring a couple. You might get you don't know because
obviously these kids are freshmen. They don't even know who they are sometimes, and if they fall into the wrong crowd or they hang out with the wrong people, they put themselves in situations where they do the wrong thing. Of course, that's going to happen. That's going to happen in any group of testosterone-filled
alpha males.
Yeah, 18 to 22-year-old alpha males.
Right.
So that's one thing. But if this is what it would cost you to see the University of Texas back on top, would it be okay?
No, it wouldn't be okay. And I'm going to go ahead and go back in time just a little bit. When I lived in Waco, there was a great running back. And he went to La Vega High School, which is right next to Waco. It's Bell Mead.
Okay.
So as you're coming in on 35, you hit right before you hit the stadium. As you're going south on 35, That's Bell Mead. Now, this running back, his name was Chris Parr. I mean, he took them all the way to the state semifinals.
Okay.
The downfall with Chris Parr is he couldn't control himself from robbing a convenience store or robbing a person on the street. But yet, Mac Brown gave him a full ride at the University of Texas. Did he ever make it to the campus of the University of Texas? No, because he robbed everyone down 35 south.
On his way.
He couldn't stop. So, I mean, he would have been a great running back if his morals were correct. So, I don't miss those players. If you can't get your act together in the classroom, in life, or anything else, go.
But why do you think these large universities, Alabama, Florida State, Texas, I mean, in the past, I remember we've talked about North Texas fans when they played Texas. Just before Strong got there,
Right.
there was a T-shirt.
The
where they wanted to
convicts.
put handcuffs on the Longhorn and say "Book 'em horns" instead of "Hook 'em horns" because,
Right.
like Baylor, there was just string after string of somebody getting in trouble with the law. So, why do you think there is such a willingness for coaching staffs who are supposed to be responsible, who give these speeches to these parents? Oh, well, we're going to raise your son to be a great man, and we're going to take care of him, and we're going to make sure that he does the right thing, and that he studies and he gets an education. Why do you think that these coaches can say these things to these parents and then look the other way?
I really believe that that's the interest of these coaches. I really believe that they're like, yeah, I'm going to make this young man a greater person, so on and so forth. When really you can't do it. But it comes down to, Ryan, are you going to drive here on a Saturday night and come do a radio show with me? It's either a yes or no. Either you're going to do it or you're not going to do it. And that's the same choices these players have. Once the pads are off and I'm out running the streets, am I going to rob this person? Am I going to go rape this young lady? Am I going to sexually assault somebody? Yeah. They can't control that.
I'm not saying that they can't control those things. What I am saying is that sort of thing at major football programs, if you're good enough, will garner you a warning. You'll get a slap on the wrist. You'll have a meeting with the dean. You'll talk to the athletic department, and they'll warn you that they might take your scholarship away, or you'll get suspended a
maybe they
game
can
or-
take that full scholarship into a half scholarship. Where you're only there for that one semester that need you, that fall semester, and then that's next semester. So there's some people that have to do that.
If you are involved, now I'm not saying false accusations don't happen, but I mean, it's pretty rare,
Right?
Like there's very few. I am by no means advocating that people are making things up. Like
So you're saying Johnny didn't do anything with his girlfriend outside the hotel?
that case
Zaza?
is still in court, and I have no idea about the details of that case. But
That's all I know, really. So
what I am saying is that these coaches aren't holding these young men accountable. So, yes, they cannot control every action that the 100 players on their roster do when they leave that football field, but they can force them to face the music when the time comes. They can take that kid off the team for the 2 years. They can make sure he goes to trial and faces those things and doesn't get the opportunity to cover that up.
Okay.
Because that's the problem here. My problem isn't in that people make poor choices. That's,
well, people do make poor choices. Look at me. I am a classic example of poor choice.
You picked me to do the radio show with. Poor choice number one.
I picked age 40 before I go to college, so that's another bad choice.
But people are going to make dumb decisions. People are going to make criminally bad decisions.
Right.
How the team, the city, the university responds to those things is a whole other thing.
Now let's go back on this whole bad choices.
Okay.
The whole Jameis Winston crab legs thing, I kind of laughed at that one. I thought that was funny and not so much horrible person thing. What about yourself?
It is funny, but when you add the fact that Jameis Winston had already been charged with sexual assault, he had already said some really lewd remarks jumping
Right.
up on the table. It's a character thing, and you know that he's not the type of person who's being made. He's one of the greatest college football players in the NCAA at the time, and no one was forcing him to face the music on any of those
Right.
things. So he's being protected by the lawyers and everyone telling him to shut his mouth, stay quiet, play football, and as long as you do well on the field, all this will go away.
Right.
That can't be the attitude to American